सेटअप कर रहा था, कुछ फाइनल सेटअप्स करने होते हैं ना, कभी लाइट्स का इशू होता है, कई बार फेस पे लाइट नहीं आती है, एंड obviously was doing something. These days are really very hectic days for everyone. Like, so today I took off. I couldn't go for my offline classes today because of certain things which are very important. But then I have to take other classes, other batches, their private classes, then RPSC interviews, Zoom preparation, Zoom classes, video classes, then UPSC classes. So multiple classes going on. It's like from early morning to late night. I'm having literature, and literature. So it's a quiz with all the important questions that will be the base. Let's see how many of you are prepared with questions, tough questions, questions randomly asked. So before we start the quiz, what I'll do, I'll take some time so that the other students can also join us. Generally, who have put the reminder, जिनका reminder है वो हमें अभी join कर लेंगे, and then we'll go for some questions. प्रिया जी कैसे हैं आप? गाजीपुर से हैं. That's very sweet. All the new students who are watching it, my suggestion is that keep the pen and paper with you, so that when I ask a question and suppose you're not able to answer the question, so at least you can note down those questions. आप अपना नाम questions जो है नाम add कर लो. Mahmood Shafi, you're saying watch Triple R. I have watched it. It's good. It's actually good movie. You know, Rajamouli works very hard, and this shows that hard work always pays. So the cast is good, story is very good, the picturization is good. So obviously it's really good. We have watched it. Hello Darshika Chaudhary, कैसे हैं आप? Hello Lakshmi Shrishti. Okay, so Mahbub Shafi is giving me a work. Watch Triple R and apply chaos theory. So I have watched it. And in which segment you want me to apply chaos theory? Holy Queen, the question is steps to crack JRF. I already have given a lot of videos to crack JRF. Let's start quiz questions. Ready? How many of you are ready? If you are ready, write that I'm ready. Tayyar ho? Ready for the quiz questions? Mandeep Kaur, ready. Priya Rai, Sikha, Shabash. Shelley Ahmed, Gulshan, Shubham, Darshan, बहुत बढ़िया, सब तैयार हो. How's the Josh? Hi sir, very good. So there are certain rules of this quiz session. The first rule is that this quiz is not to entertain you. So I will ask questions which are actually important for the exams. So मैं जो भी questions आपसे पूछने वाला हूँ, whatever the questions I'm going to ask, either they have been asked or will be asked, right? So in that situation, keep the pen and paper with you so that you can write down those questions. You can take some rough copy, make a star, question 1, question 2. So even if you don't know the answer, no problem, but don't miss the question, okay? Don't miss the question. Question is very important. So I'll ask you a very simple question that you will have to tell me that the religious plays in the ancient drama, they were performed on a particular celebrated day. The famous day where the religious dramas were performed. What is the name of that famous celebration where the religious dramas got performed? The celebration where the religious dramas got performed. No, not Easter, not goat. Corpus Christi or liturgy? Corpus Christi or liturgy? So the right answer is Corpus Christi or liturgy. It's not even Easter. But exceptionally Easter pe somebody would have performed. But properly it was liturgy. Literature plus clergy. Liturgy. Also called Corpus Christi. Second most important question is that how many visions and passes are in Vision of William concerning Piers the Plowman? How many visions and passes are there in Vision of William concerning Piers the Plowman? DR सर कैसे हैं आप? आपका वीडियो देखा मैंने, बहुत अच्छा लगा. आपको बहुत जल्दी हमारी तरफ से एक गिफ्ट वाउचर मिलेगा आपको. बहुत बढ़िया. It has 8 vision, 20 passes. Name the famous character who kills his own son because his son was a weak king, a weak prince, and the king didn't want his son to be insulted by public. He kills his own son and declares him a martyr. Name the character who kills his own son because he was बहुत बढ़िया प्रेरणा शाबाश बहुत बढ़िया very good. Tamerlane is the famous character, is actually the person who is also called Tamur. Now, what is the difference between the Tamerlane written by Christopher Marlowe and the original character Tamur? What is the difference about their origin? This Tamerlane and Tamur, दोनों के origin में एक difference है. मैंने क्लास में बताया है, ऑनलाइन क्लास में ही बोला हुआ है. What is the important thing? That's the very important point. What is the difference? जानवी चौहान, बहुत बढ़िया जानवी, बहुत बढ़िया. Proud of you. Yes, प्रेरणा जोशी, शाबाश. This is Scythian character. Here, Tamerlane is a Grecian shepherd, a Scythian character. But in reality, Tamur was from Middle East. So make sure you remember that he is using Tamerlane as a Scythian or Grecian character. Now, the famous story where for the first time in English literature we find the application of Machiavellian character, where Machiavelli narrates the story, the one who starts the story. In which book we have the first Machiavellian character who asks the question, who asks the story, the one who tells us the story. बहुत बढ़िया, Jew of Malta, very good. Jew of Malta, Barabbas, he keeps on conspiring against everyone. Tell me this thing, when he poisons all the nuns and his daughters, one clergy, one priest catches him red-handed, and the priest says that you must repent, you must say sorry to God, you have done a big crime and you must repent. What does Barabbas do with that priest जो कहता है कि माफी मांगो भगवान से? What does Barabbas do with that priest? Come on. Very good, Sikta. He kills him. He says, first you go to God. He kills him and frames another priest for his murder, for his killing. Now, remember this thing. As I'm asking some questions, I'll also go for lit theory and lit criticism. Just make sure that if you're not able to answer, write it. Okay. Now, what was the name of the famous character who dance with each other? There are two characters. They are in love with each other, but they have ego issues. They dance with each other with a mask where the girl says that she hates the boy. In which story? We find the couple dancing together. The girl doesn't know that he's the same boy. She says that I hate that boy, and actually the boy is listening. The boy is dancing with her. Not Elizabeth, no. Jane Austen, Pride and Prejudice, it has a repeated scene. Very good, बहुत बढ़िया. Or and missing something very important. Two characters, they were in love with each other, but they had ego issues. So two other characters arranges their conversations and make them overhear so that they can understand their love for each other. We are talking about Shakespearean play. Benedict and Beatrice, Much Ado About Nothing. Benedict and Beatrice, where Beatrice and Benedict are in love, but they don't confess their love. And then Beatrice actually says that she hates Benedict, though she doesn't do it. That's very important point. Don't forget it. Now, as one of you have already answered about Jane Austen, I want to ask, what was the first title of Sense and Sensibility? What was the first title of Sense and Sensibility? Sense and Sensibility. 1811, a novel written by Jane Austen. The first title of Sense and Sensibility. No first impression nahi hai. Sikta, very good answer. It's Eleanor and Marian. These are the girls. The two characters are the characters in the story. First impression is actually the first title of Pride and Prejudice. Now tell me this thing, there are two famous books which were the attack on Gothic narrations. Gothic literature, Gothic novels got attacked by Jane Austen and one more writer, Thomas Love Peacock. What are the two books where the Gothic novels got satirized, got criticized? राघव गुप्ता बहुत बढ़िया. नॉर्थेंगर एबी किसने लिखा है? नॉर्थेंगर एबी by whom? Waiting for the answer, come on. It's by waiting for the very good Sikta. It's by Jane Austen. Yes, Northanger Abbey is one of the last works written by her. Now remember this thing. Rashmi has answered that. Nightmare Abbey. Yes, Northanger Abbey by Jane Austen. Nightmare Abbey by Thomas Love Peacock. Two books attack on Gothic tradition. So they may ask you a question that name the writer who satirized the Gothic novels, Gothic genre. And if they don't give you Jane Austen, Northanger Abbey, then it can be Nightmare Abbey by Thomas Love Peacock. Now remember this thing, the same writer, Thomas Love Peacock, also attacked poetry. What was the name of his book-length essay? In which work he attacked poetry? That was replied by P.B. Shelley in defense of poetry. What was the name of the work by Thomas Love Peacock? राघव गुप्ता बहुत बढ़िया शाबाश. Oliva is very good. बहुत बढ़िया Oliva शाबाश. It's 4 ages of poetry. बहुत बढ़िया very good. Now we go to the famous writer P.B. Shelley. P.B. Shelley had a bet with his friend to write a poetry on something. उसने और उसके दोस्त के बीच में शर्त लगी that we will write the poetry and let's see who wins, who writes first. What is the name of the poetry and on what thing it was written? किस पोइट्री के लिए शैली की शर्त लगी थी अपने दोस्त से? Shelley had. No, it's not just Rosie. Lovely Baviza has given the perfect answer. Gulshan has given the perfect answer. Twinkle, Ragha Gupta, बहुत बढ़िया. It's Ozymandias, some great Persian or some Middle East king. He had a big head, a bronze head. It was being taken to England from a big ship, through a big ship. So Ozymandias, much have, he says, I met a traveler from an antique land. Now if you are prepared, especially the online students, क्योंकि ये question आपको नहीं miss करना किसी भाग में. This is the opening line. I met a traveler from an antique land. Who has written an antique land? The title has been taken by. Question of net exam. The line from Ozymandias, I met a traveler from an antique land. राघव गुप्ता, प्रेरणा जोशी, दोनों ने बहुत अच्छा आंसर दिया है. अलिवा, ट्विंकल, गुलशन, अनिरुद्ध, बहुत बढ़िया. अमिताभ घोष. Now tell me this thing that Amitav Ghosh wrote in Antique Land. What is it about? What does it talk about? What is the theme? Now let's see if you have read surface level or you know the depth. अगर मेरा लेक्चर भी याद होगा तो nobody can snatch a JRF from you. इस लेवल पे कोई नहीं पढ़ाएगा, तो पढ़ लो इसको. Tell me. Antique Land talks about. Waiting for the right answer. No, not slavery. No. Diodorus Siculus. No, not directly. Historical fiction. No. Yes, it's a historical fiction, but it's not a fiction. It's non-fiction actually. No, not Sundarban. Not slavery. Kavya Nidhi has given some good answer. Not 100% complete. But I have taught this. That's why I'm expecting a better answer. Obviously, it is related to culture studies, related to post-colonials. It is a historical non-fiction. Okay, so none of you has read or maybe remembered my lecture. Gulshan, very good. Gulshan has answered this. Destruction of Jewish library. It is actually a question about the loss of a culture. If you destroy some culture's library, you have destroyed thousands of folk tales, thousands of myths, thousands of truths. So technically this is the destruction of a culture. So the Jewish library that was destroyed, this is the story he talks about. It's a non-fiction, historical non-fiction. Now next question from modern writers. Let's see who answers this thing. T.S. Eliot has written 4 quartets. There are 4 quartets: East Cocker, Bert Norton, Little Gidding, Dry Salvage. I want to ask you if you can set them in order. Set them in order. There are 4 works by T.S. Eliot in 4 quartets, 4 long poetries. Set them in order. BEDL. बहुत बढ़िया, बहुत बढ़िया, बहुत बढ़िया. It's Burnt Norton, East Cocker, Dry Salvage, Little Gidding. Good. अच्छा से ध्यान गया है. In which famous work we find the lines, "In the room women come and go," talking of Michelangelo. In the room women come and go, talking of Michelangelo. Where do we get this line? In the room women come and go, talking of Michelangelo. बहुत बढ़िया संयुक्ता, शाबाश. सौम्या, बहुत बढ़िया. Love song of J. Alfred Prufrock. I am not Prince Hamlet, nor I mean to be. Like, let's go then you and I, when the evening is spread out against the sky, like a patient etherized upon a table. It's very important work. Now the next question is again from the modern writers, who called modern age the age of anxiety. Come on. The age of anxiety. Who called it? The modern age. बहुत बढ़िया. राघव को मेरे मालदीव्स की कोर्स याद है. Auden. Yes, it's Auden. The age of anxiety. Now remember this thing. Tell me about the concept of, like, it's a very important concept. Make it new. Make it new concept can be applied to a particular age in literature. In which age it was applied? The concept of make it new, make it strange. Make it new, make it strange. कौन सी एज में अप्लाइड है? Make it new, make it strange. बहुत बढ़िया, बहुत बढ़िया. Modern age. This is for modern age. Now we go for a question. Name the writer who has written a famous work, Mrs. Warren's Profession. Who wrote Mrs. Warren's Profession? Dealing with prostitution. And he said that the prostitutes are not the villains. The real villains are the society. Who wrote Mrs. Warren's Profession? The famous character Kitty Warren that appears there. बहुत बढ़िया, बहुत बढ़िया. Who said literature is an organized violence to language? Literature is an organized violence done to the language. ये ऑफलाइन बैचेस के थ्योरी के लेक्चर्स में इन डेप्थ पढ़ा के आया था. Literature is an organized violence done to language. It's from Russian formalism. Roman Jacobson, write that. That's a very important point. Who said new criticism is lemon squeezing? Who called new criticism lemon squeezing? New criticism को lemon squeezing किसने बोला था? Come on, hurry up. Who called? बहुत बढ़िया. T.S. Eliot is very good. बहुत बढ़िया. Name the famous writers who were the member of Vanderbilt University group, also called Southern Agrarians. Question from New Criticism. Tell me the names of writers who were the members of Vanderbilt University group or Southern Agrarians. The Vanderbilt University groups or Southern Agrarians. Tell me this. Yes, ये वीडियो सेव है. अगर आप चाहो तो बाद में दोबारा देख के सारे क्वेश्चंस नोट कर सकते हो. एलन टेट इज देयर, जेसी रैनसम देयर, क्लिंथ ब्रूक्स देयर. बहुत बढ़िया, वेरी गुड. यस, डी आर, मिस्टर डी आर सर, आपको ये मिल जाएगा, डोंट वरी, ये है वहां पे. बहुत बढ़िया. Tell me this thing, who has written Practical Criticism, the famous work of 1929? Practical Criticism written by, Practical Criticism is written by whom? You give me the right answer, the right name, I will tell you the details. Raga Gupta, बहुत बढ़िया. I.A. Richards. I.A. Richards, one of the famous linguist, scholar, and also was the director of elementary language development in China. He and C.K. Ogden worked together and developed the basic English concept, which is the elementary schools in China. You know, the language which is used in China. I.A. Richards did an experiment. He gave 13 poems, yes, 13 poems to his undergraduate students and removed all the titles, names of writers, cover pages, and gave 13 poems to the students to reinterpret, to rewrite, and to understand the actual meaning they understand. You know what did he do? He gave his undergraduate students 13 poems and asked them to reinterpret those poetries without any reference of author, without any reference of anything else. No title, no cover page, nothing. So that's how he started Practical Criticism concept. Now tell me this thing, who has written 7 types of ambiguity? 7 types of ambiguity. Come on. Force your brain to answer. 7 types of ambiguity. Empson, William Empson. बहुत बढ़िया. Not Ramson, it's Empson. Very good. Tell me the famous writer who has written Morphology of the Folk Tale, where he talks about the 8 characters, 7 functions, and 31 small functions. The famous writer who has written Morphology of the Folk Tale, he talks about a narrative structure of short story. Sage. Story has 8 characters, 7 major functions, 31 small functions. कौन कौन से लोगों ने लिटरेरी थ्योरी के लेक्चर्स ठीक से किए हैं? व्लादिमीर प्रॉप, बहुत बढ़िया. Narratology, the person who is connected to narratology. The concept of sujet and fabula, it's given by Prop and Sklovsky. How many of you know what is sujet? What is fabula? What is fabula? Fabula क्या होता है? Fabula and sujet both are criticized by Derrida, criticized by Bakhtin. What is fabula? If you're not able to answer, don't worry. I'm also going to take some board wala theory class, a private class. I'll explain it to you. Fabula is the raw story, the raw structure of the story. Sujet is the structural development of the story. Yes, इसको actually plot and constructed plot बोल सकते हैं. Developed plot. Fabula is not fabulous, Mandeep. ऐसे नहीं है, ऐसे नहीं पढ़ना है. Name the famous writer who has given the theory of hearsay of paraphrasing in the famous book The Well-Wrought Urn. Hearsay of paraphrasing का theory given by the writer who has written Well-Wrought Urn. In short, who has written Well-Wrought Urn? किसने लिखा है Well-Wrought Urn? Theory के questions हैं. Waiting for the right answer. Come on. Clean Brooks, बहुत बढ़िया. Very good. Now the question is that Well-Wrought Urn, the title has been taken from someone's poetry. Whose poetry he has taken as a title? The Well-Wrought Urn has been taken as a title. Waiting for the right answer. Don't connect it to Grecian urn. John Donne. John Donne's famous work, Canonization, the 4th line of Canonization, inspired the title. And my friends, make notes that even in this work, The Well-Wrought Urn, John Donne's same poetry, Canonization, gets studied here, the developed here. Yani, they study the same poetry from the new criticism point of view. And yes, it has 11 chapters. 10 chapters are dealing with the poetries of William Shakespeare to W.B. Yeats. Last chapter talks about hearsay of paraphrasing. 11th chapter. ये सब नोट कर लेना दोस्तों, भूलना नहीं है. Yes, ये गेट के पेपर में था, गेट के क्वेश्चन पेपर में. Most of these questions which I actually ask you are the questions either asked in exam or they can come in exam. Next session mein I'll be asking you questions from here. And if you want to go for toughest questions so that you are actually prepared, you see the reality, just subscribe this channel because I have a lot of newly added points. मेरे पास बहुत सारे नए points हैं जो which I'm actually teaching my offline students and online one. आपको बहुत सारी चीज़ें मिल जाएंगी. For example, I tell you the example. Memento. Memento was a movie, experimental movie, where fabula and Suzette were arranged separately. So the movie was a disaster. So to get the advanced details, just stay connected, subscribe, and let's get ready for the next session of Rapid Fire. Once the date is announced, we are going to start our 3 a.m. session. Yes, Memento movie, Movie, Memento, Memento, Memento. Soon my paper 1 book is also coming. Just like this is the English book, my paper 1 book. See, actually it is already in the print, but they are printing thousands of copies. So that's why, it is taking time. So maybe most probably this Monday the book will be in the market. You can already, book your slot if you want to get the book. And as it will be available to you the last 20 days, my suggestion is that just do one thing. Go for one complete reading of the book, because I have made sure that all of the questions which are previously been asked, all of these questions are arranged in small paragraphs, so that even if you do a reading, it will prepare you for direct paper, right? So make sure when it is in the market, you go for it. And yes, those who are English students, don't forget this. And we are also working on a new update. Soon you will also get the book of CUET. ये books भी आ रही हैं. And along with these things, I'm also trying to get some software where I can take thousands of students in a video conversation with better voice. उन चीज़ों पे काम कर रहा हूँ. एक Panasonic का कैमरा खरीदने का सोच रहा हूँ, which the movie वाला camera kind of this, that gives a better live class, better voice. And you can see the board. Even if I write in a very normal pen and sketch, you can see those things, right? So we are working on it. Stay connected. Prerna paper 1 book is in English. It's not in Hindi. I am comfortable in English, so I went for English. But yes, I will translate it in Hindi with help of my father. He is damn good in Hindi. I have lost my command in Hindi. Emmanuel Macron, to join the batches, contact the office. And it's the evening time, so nobody is going to respond your call. Just save the number 85870-35827. Contact them, they will help you. And subscribe the channel, all the students, so that you always get notified. If you don't see our status, if you don't see our link sharings, if you have subscribed, it will automatically come to you that Vineet Pandey is live, and the last days are there. So in the last days, whatever the live classes we do, whatever the rapid fire we do, 3 a.m. session we do, this can help you. So stay connected. Komal, it will be on Amazon and Flipkart. It will be on Amazon and Flipkart. And this is the English book. Okay. Paper 1 book, already we have shared the promo. Promo is already there. You can watch that. And see you tomorrow. Milte hain. I have to take a special lecture for all of you, diaspora writers, beat generation writers, and some questions randomly asked from literary theory. So these are three plans that I actually have to do: diaspora writers, beat generation writers, and lit theory questions. So stay connected, right? Chalo then. Have a great night. Shabak khair. Namaste.